Hello and welcome to another episode of this podcast of ours. Thank you all for watching and for leaving your comments and for your subscriptions. We're taking all the comments into account, and we've even done a little change to the setup based on the views and the feedback that we've received. And speaking of views and time, there's something that I've been seeing on the internet lately, this phenomenon of the Karen. Basically someone who goes to a place and just doesn't want to follow basic protocol, just wants to create trouble for everyone. And it happens mostly with retail workers. There's usually someone who walks in and just wants to create a mess of everything. Correct. Or wants everything to be done their way. We've all experienced this. What do you gentlemen think?
I think all three of us has worked in retail, so
I have.
Karens, oh my god, you encounter one Karen every day. It's just the people who are entitled, who think that certain things has to be done their way, and most of the time they point all the blame to the retail worker that they're speaking, not understanding that these guys are in the management chain. We are like the retail worker has no power at all.
Correct.
You're the guy at the bottom of the food chain.
Correct. The salesman, for example, the salesman is the last person. So all the pressure comes from the boss to the next and next, and it ends up at the salesman. So, and if ever like the people who wants to purchase anything or who wants to just buy something, the first person they see is the salesman. So direct the blames goes to salesman.
While I understand their frustration sometimes, and they see the salesman as representing the entire organization, I think it's absolutely wrong for you to take out all your frustration on this one guy. And all of us should know better and understand that this is a sales representative. They don't own the organization. They don't really have any power in the decision making. So you can just take out your frustrations on all of them.
Also sometimes like the people ask some really weird questions that makes the salesman or the worker just looks like can't know the answer, like why did you manufacture this device this way? I mean, he can't, he's just selling it, he didn't decide to make it. So.
And most of the time when they buy a product and the product itself doesn't perform the way it's supposed to, they blame it on the salesperson, like did you get involved in it? Like, come on man,
like, you look like the guy who manufactured it.
And talking about Karens, it's not just in retail, but you see it everywhere. Like if you go to a cinema, you see these people just littering around. Like you go to a food court, like there are people who don't just clean up after themselves. Like they feel they're so entitled. I mean, I have seen people smoking and just throwing the cigarette butt just like it's nothing. And there's
the trash bin is literally 2 feet away from
it.
And the worst part is usually the trash bin will be 2 feet away, and then 6 feet away there'll be this poor human being who's trying to clean it. And you drop it there not understanding the consequences of what you're doing. The more you're leaving a mess, the more work that guy has to do, and you don't even understand how little these people are paid. So that's what makes it so painful for me. And in the cinema, I usually ask this question that, did you forget where your mouth is? Like you couldn't figure out how to pick up your popcorn from the thing and put it in your mouth, and somehow the popcorn ended up in the seat. And there's this bunch of people who have to clean the cinema in between shows. And usually they have like 15 minutes. So the bigger the mess you have to create, the faster they have to do their job, and the more work they have to do. And guess what? These people don't get paid a lot. So you're giving them a whole lot of work to do. So they go home in the evening exhausted, and they don't make money. So just if you are just a little decent, you'd save them a whole lot of trouble.
I'll share a small story. One time I was in the food court having my food with a friend of mine. So after we finished, so I just cleaned everything. I put everything in that plate, and then I'm going to throw it in the trash. So he said, what if the management noticed that people actually are cleaning themselves? Then they will not hire a cleaner to clean.
In school, they used to tell us, I can't remember if it was in school or my mother who used to tell me, but at some point I had this. Just because someone is being paid to clean up doesn't mean you should leave a mess. Simple as that. So do you leave a mess in your own house because you know you'll clean it up? So after you eat, you just throw everything everywhere? No, you don't. Of course. So the same philosophy should apply everywhere. And speaking of cinemas, there are also these people who are just loud in a cinema.
That's just irritating, man. It's just They just don't have their common sense that you're disturbing someone else. These are Karens as well.
It is.
And there are. I'm not talking about Karen as a female term.
No,
Karens can be males,
encompassing the entire group of people.
And it's just that you go to a cinema, you pay and you buy a ticket to experience the movie, and then there is this two people just in front of you talking.
Like they never meet.
The entire movie.
And it's so irritating. Like you feel like shit. I could have just watched this movie at home and had a better experience.
Pay $10 for a ticket. These two people are sitting 1 foot away from each other, and they're conversing as if one of them is in China and the other one is in, Zanzibar. They are so loud and
they live together.
And they yell at the tops of their voices, and it's so annoying. And the worst part is usually if you confront them, they make it look as if you're being dramatic, as if you're overreacting. So it's usually, they just try to turn the problem and make it your problem. And on top of that, some of them bring their wild children to public places. So you'll see these people who have 1, 2 children, and the child is just running wild and laying waste to everything.
It's bad parenting, you could say. And it's what I've seen mostly, this happens when you have a nanny. And when the nanny is not present, the parents don't know how to take care of their children. They're just running wild, making a mess, throwing away food, or if it's a fashion retail place, they will just take all the clothes and just make a mess, and their parents are just watching. They're just watching. Like they don't know how to control their own child, and they don't see how annoying it is to the retail workers and the other people who are shopping there. It's just common decency, right? So
and also another thing is the whole idea of outsourcing parenting to your nanny or to an electronic device. So you see a lot of people nowadays, in my culture, there's this saying where your children are not supposed to walk behind you. Your children are supposed to be in front of you all the time where you can see them. But nowadays you see a lot of these people where this person is walking 50 meters ahead with these huge shopping bags. They've bought a bunch of shoes and everything. And then there's a nanny back there who's struggling lifting 3 different children. And this nanny is just, a handful of just so much trouble. And if something goes wrong, the nanny gets blamed.
Of course.
And a lot of times you even see children where, for example, you're a British person and you hire a nanny who's, say, German. And your children end up speaking German. Why? Because you are never there with your children, and the nanny raises them to the point that the nanny is literally the parent of these children. And you treat the nanny, horribly. You pay them horribly, but they're taking care of the children. Just, common basic decency. It's like it's just out of the window. And nowadays people just behave however they want, treat people however they want. And speaking of decency, there's even just basic things like standing in a queue when you're waiting for people. It's so difficult to just make people understand that, look, there are 10 of us waiting to get to the cashier. Let's just stand in a queue and everyone waits their turn. If I got here before you, just stand in a queue behind me. Wait when I'm done. Such a simple concept. But I don't know.
I mean, these days, look at it this way. You can still call these people Karens because we know the way to stop the spread of this COVID-19 is to wear a mask. Simple as that. You just wear a mask when you're gathering together. And people just don't want to do that. Why?
Maybe they don't accept it. Or maybe they don't believe it.
And the funny thing is, they don't want to wear it. But if a shop says you need to wear a mask to get in,
they will wear it.
They will fight it. They not just they will not wear it, and they want to fight the store owners or the managers or the retail people again.
So it goes back full circle.
Back
to the retail worker who then has to face, all these problems. And the mask thing has gotten so bad that I was listening to an Eminem song where he basically says, you refuse to wear a mask, you go shopping, you leave your germs on the shopping basket. I come, use the shopping basket, now I'm dying because you refuse to wear a mask. Simple as that. And people are saying, I cannot wear a mask, we want the economies to be open. And they forget that the more you don't wear a mask, the more the disease spreads, and the more we have to have all these lockdowns and everything. And even on the road when you're driving, these people who there are 2 lanes and then there's a merging lane. Instead of just merging like a normal human being, they want to go all the way to the end when there's only 1 centimeter left. Yeah. And then they force themselves into the lane, literally saying, let me merge or I'll kill both of us.
Yeah.
And like, you could have merged 50 meters ago. You know, they just want their own stupidity to endanger everyone and everything else around them. And the moment you try to question them, they're like, oh, you know, you're questioning my rights. I have the right to do this. Okay, you have the right to do that. What about my own right to live a valued life?
Yeah.
Like my own right to be safe.
Yeah.
Why are you putting both of us in danger? If you want to kill yourself, that's your problem. You go ahead, put your own life in danger, not my life. But I guess
I think it's the way they were brought up.
Yeah.
Like it's the way they saw things happening. Like if their parents or if their friends and family, they're doing it, they automatically get influenced. So if you got influenced like that, there's also very high possibility for you to break that mold and think, what is this Karen? Am I a Karen? Am I doing these things? If you are, it's super simple. You just be a decent human being and you just change a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we say always think.
Yeah, and I think when you get to a certain age, it's not the responsibility of anyone else to tell you what is good and what is bad.
Yeah.
When you become an adult human being and you can observe, you know, whatever is going on around you, it's your own responsibility to just be decent. Just treat people well, think. It's always, I hate the idea of saying, do to others what you'd want to be done to you. No, just do to others what is right. And leave it at that.
Yeah, think if you were the retail person, if you were retail staff, would you like to get treated this way? Or?
Exactly. Always, before I do things, I think, what if I'm the person who is actually cleaning this car, for example? Correct. How would it clean it? How would it feel if someone said, man, it's not clean from this part, clean it again? Or what if I'm the person who's cleaning the food court?
For me, the way I look at it is simple: is what is the right thing to do?
Yeah.
Simple as that. Then that's what I go with. It doesn't matter if someone else is not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
As long as in my conscience is clear, I know what I'm doing is the right thing that needs to be done. That's it. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. So I think that should bring us to the close of this.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's good.
Again, thank you very much for staying all the way to the end. We will see you next week. Click, like, share, subscribe below. Leave your comments. Tell us what you'd want us to discuss. And as usual, keep thinking.